Illuminated Bible Story Book for Young People by Elizabeth Morton. Printed in the U.S.A., copyright 1927, published by the John C. Winston Company, Chicago, Philadelphia, Toronto. Includes 20 colored illustrations. Today's reading is Jacob and Esau. Time passed and Isaac grew to be a man. With his wife Rebekah and their twin sons Jacob and Esau, they lived in a tent home in the land of Canaan. Although twins are generally very much alike, these two sons of Isaac and Rebekah were quite different. Esau the older was dark, and hair grew all over his body. He was clever and keen of mind, and would rather go into the woods with his bow and arrow in search of deer than he would do any other thing. Jacob was not at all like his brother, for he was fair-haired and smooth-skinned. He was quiet and thoughtful in all his actions, and he liked to stay at home to take care of the flocks of sheep and herds of cattle that belonged to his father. Isaac loved Esau more than he loved Jacob, because Esau was always ready and eager to go out in search of venison and then dress it and cook it for his father. But Rebekah loved Jacob more, because he was so wise and thoughtful. We can just imagine Jacob kneeling at the feet of his grandfather Abraham and hearing about the wonderful promise that was to come true through the older son. Perhaps he told Esau the same tales, but Esau was such a happy-go-lucky, carefree lad that he did not pay much attention to his grandfather's story. Then Jacob kept thinking and thinking about that promise that the elder son was to receive twice as much property as the younger when the father died. And the more he thought about the birthright, as it was called, the more he wished that he had been the older instead of Esau. One day when Esau came home from hunting and felt very hungry and tired, he saw that Jacob had just prepared a dish of tempting food. He asked Jacob to give him some of the red stuff in the dish. Just then a wicked idea entered Jacob's head, and he answered, "I shall give it to you if you will sell me your birthright." Poor Esau was so hungry, and the food in the dish smelled so good that he said to his brother, "What is the use of the birthright to me when I am about to die from hunger? The birthright is yours if you will only give me something to eat." Then Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of food. It was not right for Jacob to act so selfishly with his brother, but it was also very wrong for Esau to care so little for the birthright that he would be willing to sell it for something to eat. Years passed, and Isaac, their father, grew old and feeble and almost blind. He felt that he was going to die, and as was the custom, he wanted to give his blessing to his children. So he called Esau to him and said, "My boy, I feel that I am going to die soon, but before I do, I wish to give you as my older son God's blessing. And now will you go into the woods and hunt one more deer, and then make for me some delicious cooked meat such as you know I love. After I have eaten it, I shall give you the blessing." Esau hurried off on his errand without telling his father that the blessing did not belong to him, for he had sold it to Jacob. Now Rebekah was listening when Isaac talked to Esau. She did not think that Esau was worthy to receive the blessing of his father, and too, she wanted her favorite son to receive it. So she called Jacob to her hurriedly and told him to go out to the flocks and bring back 2 little kids, that she might cook them and season them just as Esau had done. Then she said, "I shall dress you in some of Esau's clothes, and you shall take the food to your father and receive the blessing, for he cannot see well, and he will think you are Esau." But Jacob said, "Behold, Esau and I are not alike. He is hairy, and I am smooth-skinned. My father may feel me, and if he finds that I am not Esau, he may curse me instead of giving me a blessing." But Rebekah urged Jacob to obey, and so he went out to the fields and brought the kids from the flocks. And after his mother had prepared the food, she dressed Jacob in some of Esau's clothes, and on his neck and over his arms she placed the skins of the kids, so that his neck and hands would feel hairy just as Esau's did. Then Jacob took the meat and went into his father's tent. Speaking as much like Esau as he could, he said, "Here I am, my father." And Isaac said, "Who are you, my son?" Jacob answered, "I am Esau, your firstborn. I have done as you bade me. Arise, I pray, and eat of my venison, and then give me your blessing." Isaac could not help wondering how his son could have returned with the venison in such a short time. So he said to the boy, "Come near to me, I pray, that I may feel you and know whether you are my very own son Esau or not." And Jacob went near to his father, and he felt him and said, "The voice is the voice of Jacob, but the hands are the hands of Esau." So the poor old blind man was quite deceived. And he ate the meat and then blessed his son with a blessing that gave the right to all God's promises. After Jacob had gone, Esau came in with his venison. "Who are you?" cried Isaac in dismay. And when Esau replied, "I am your son Esau," the old man trembled with fear. "Who then," he said, "is the one who came to me with the food? I have eaten it, and to him I have given the blessing." Esau knew then that he had been cheated. "Have you but one blessing?" he wept. "Bless me also." Isaac then blessed Esau also, though not with the blessing that he had given to Jacob, for there was no taking away that blessing which Jacob had won and Esau had lost.